I've got to use the audio from the Osmo here because recording into DaVinci Resolve was completely corrupted. I apologize. It's not DaVinci Resolve's problem. I think it's my PC's problem. You'll know from past episodes I've complained about this PC giving me guff. It has reared its ugly head. This podcast, especially the end of it, is particularly important. So I'm just going to do the audio off of the Osmo. I apologize, but regardless, try to enjoy. Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. I still have a podcast. It's been a while since I've recorded, let alone uploaded an episode, but I am not wearing pants right now. You certainly can't hear that. And thankfully, if I upload this to YouTube, I've got it cropped in such a way that you can't see it. Thankfully or unthankfully, I don't know, whatever you're into. So I am recording this obviously on my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. What's the latest one? Is it the 3? Whatever. I'm recording an HLG, high log gamma, to see if that makes any sort of difference at all. Let me know if you're watching this on YouTube, if it looks good or not. Let's see. Let me check the focus here. Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, I've got it locked on my face. Well, it was. Anyways, I have been geeking out about something recently, and once again, I apologize for not uploading as regularly as I used to. Do y'all remember, the longtime listeners, that I used to upload at least 5 episodes a week? I used to upload a podcast almost daily, just what the trending news was of that day. I would record my thoughts and opinions on it. But the thing I've been geeking out about recently, and I'm happy to tell you, is plants. Botany, horticulture. It kind of snuck up on me, and I'm not going to say that I am geeking out as hard on horticulture and plants like I do about computers and building PCs and cassette decks and CD players and mini discs and old computers and drones. I'm not quite there yet with my geeking out over plants. But I bet you there's somebody listening to this right now, even though I don't even know how much of an audience I have left, that there's somebody listening that is a legitimate, that is your hobby, that is your passion, plants, growing plants, gardening, botany, horticulture. That is just what you are all about. So your lucky day. That is what this episode is about. But like I said, I am not a professional by any means. I have not deep dived into horticulture. It's just something that I noticed kind of creep up on me over the past couple weeks, I would say. And I think I could kind of pinpoint when it actually started. My oldest son is 4 years old. He brought home a teeny tiny little clay pot, terracotta pot, with maybe like an ounce of dirt in there, an ounce of soil in there, and a packet of a couple of sunflower seeds to grow a sunflower. And I put that little pot, seriously, it was like 2 inches in diameter and maybe 2 inches tall. I put that little pot and the seeds on top of the louvers of the DeLorean in the garage, and it sat there for 2 or 3 months at least. And then one day I said, you know what? Let's just plant this seed. So Riker and I put the seed into the soil and patted it down in there, and we put some water on it, and we put it in the backyard in the sun. And lo and behold, after a few days, a couple weeks, it sprouted really healthy, nice green sprouts. And I was like, would you look at that? It actually, I didn't know how viable the seeds were. Again, if they were viable when they came home from school with him, perhaps they were not viable after sitting in a garage on top of a car for a couple months. But seeds, and it makes sense, evolutionarily and biologically speaking, that seeds would be a little bit more hardy than that it would take a little bit more than staying in a warm garage for a few months to decrease the viability of the seed. In either case, it worked. It worked just fine, and it sprouted. And I moved. It's actually at the end of this particular plant's story. The sunflower story is kind of sad. It got big enough. It sprouted a few inches tall. I said, you know what? This is doing really well. Let's move it out of the little tiny clay pot it was in, and let's move it into the garden. The south-facing side of my house gets sunlight 365 days a year, 7 days a week, unless it's cloudy, of course. But the sun, there is never any shade from trees or shade from homes on this patch of my lawn, south-facing lawn of my house. So a sunflower, obviously, well, not obviously, but in its name, needs a lot of sun. So I put it out with a lot of sun. I put it right next to my hydrangeas that we got from church that are doing great out in the lawn also, full sunlight. So I planted the seed out there and it was doing well for a few weeks. It kept growing. It had a little, something started nibbling on it, some sort of insect or whatever, but it stopped. I kept an eye on it and it was healthy. It was still growing. A couple of leaves had little, brown holes in it, but otherwise healthy. And I would water it every day. The hydrangea, the little sunflower sprouts, the other hedges around my house. And then yesterday I come home. I have my guy Tony come out once a month to cut the grass. I keep up with the lawn in between the once a month visit. I basically have my yard guy come out every 30 days or so just to, trim the hedges and kind of tidy up kind of the bigger projects. Yes, he mows the lawn, but he also gets the landscaping looking decent. But everything in between, I take care of. 30 days, like over the summer, you got to mow that grass, once a week, once every 2 weeks, absolutely tops, depending on how much it rains. If it rains a lot, you got to mow the lawn every week. But anyways, I take care of it in between. Tony came by yesterday as of recording this. Tony came by yesterday, did his thing. I came home from work and I noticed, oh no, he weed whacked the sunflower sprout. To be fair, the hydrangea's fine. He obviously missed the hydrangea because it's big and white and has beautiful bouquets on it. Does not look like a weed. The sunflower sprout looked like a weed, especially if you're just out there doing your thing with the weed whacker and you're already going for the crabgrass and the weeds and things like that. Yeah, a sunflower sprout just looks like another weed, especially if it's nearby or in the vicinity of other weeds. So I don't blame Tony for that. It taught me a little lesson. Maybe I will. I should have at least put a little label into the dirt to signify this is a sunflower, stay away from the weed whacker or stay away from it with the weed whacker. But nonetheless, plants is such a great hobby. For one thing, if you're kind of a homebody and you look for excuses to go outside to take care of something, getting into horticulture and gardening is a great way to make yourself get outside more. Getting outside is such great therapy for your mind, your soul, your spirit, your physical body, being outside, feeling sunshine on your face, even if it's cloudy. You still get sunburn when it's cloudy, by the way. UV rays penetrate clouds. But being outside, feeling the sun, touching grass, which, by the way, I'm 41 years old, slang amongst youngsters. This changes all the time, skibbity and whatever. Apparently, telling somebody to touch grass now is a huge insult. And I asked what it means. I asked somebody what it actually means, a younger person, what it means. And it's basically in a gaming sense, like let's say you're playing Rocket League or CSGO or something like that, and you're doing so well, like you're so good at it that whoever's losing will tell you, dude, go touch grass, man. Meaning, it's like an insult for being good. You spent too much time and effort to get good at something that now it's like calling somebody a nerd, basically. So the kid in class that gets good grades and applies himself, the kids that don't do as well will tell that kid, touch grass, dude. You got an A on a test, man, touch some grass, bro. Which is ridiculous to make fun of somebody for applying themselves and doing well and being good at something. But taking the modern slang away, touching grass for us old folks is a very positive experience. It's something that everybody should do in this day and age where we're often inside a lot more often than we have been previously, perhaps. Gardening, getting into horticulture, botany, plants and such is a great way to go outside, touch grass with your feet, touch grass with your hands, touch grass with your knees, touch the sunlight, touch your face, touch your skin, feel the breeze, hear the birds. I'm the type of person that, and I think this is why that gardening is kind of growing on me in a way, maybe not specifically gardening, but growing plants, horticulture is growing on me a little bit, is I used to be, I remember vividly as a teenager and even young adulthood into my early 20s, for instance, really hating the idea of going to the beach. All of my friends and family want to go to the beach, and I hated going to the beach. Maybe some of y'all listening right now hate going to the beach. The air is salty, depending what beach you go to. The air is salty. You get salt on your lips just off the wind blowing off the ocean. It's hot. It's sweaty. You're getting sand into crevices and crannies. You're sweating. You're nasty. It's humid. Blah, blah, blah. It stinks, especially, I'm sorry, Galveston. I know the tourism board and it hates when people say this, but Galveston, it's not the best beach on the planet. You know, it's not even nearly the best beach in Texas. It might be the most visited. Galveston is a very historic city. I love going to Galveston. I love going to the beaches on Galveston, but that's just me, because I learned to, I'll just cut to the chase, to lean into it. There was one trip that we went on. I don't remember what specific trip to the beach or to Corpus Christi, or it was to South Texas coast. It wasn't Padre or anything like that. Padre's awesome. But anyways, it was some trip to the beach, probably just to Galveston. And I just made a decision. I was probably in my mid-20s. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop fussing about this. I'm going to stop making this out worse than it really is in my head. I'm just going to lean into it. I'm going to stop worrying about it, because here's what happens. And I just bumped my mic cable. Hopefully it doesn't make anything sound too bad. I would hate to have to throw away this whole podcast. But psychologically, when you lean into an activity or a sport or whatever you're doing within reason, when you lean into it and you find joy in it, it's so much better. You realize, oh, I was stressing about this and worried about nothing for decades. Yeah, it's going to be humid when you go to the beach. Yeah, it's going to be sandy when you go to the beach. Yeah, it's going to be hot. Yeah, you're going to get sand in your crevices. Just lean into it. You know, just listen to the seagulls, listen to the ocean birds, listen to the waves, listen to the wind. Let yourself sweat, you know, just let it happen. Like I said, lean into it and just kind of think, oh, well, sweating, it's kind of clearing out the pores and whatever. If you just stop going into something with a negative mentality, I think this might be the first episode of Geek Therapy Radio that's actually directly therapeutic to perhaps you listening, with some actual advice about some things, just based on personal experience and personal anecdotes. You just lean into it. And once I leaned into it, now I use every excuse imaginable, not only to go to the beach, but go outside. For those of you unaware, maybe if I upload this to YouTube and you don't know where I'm from, I am in Houston, Texas. Specifically, I'm in Fort Bend County, out near Sugar Land. Doesn't matter. It gets very hot and humid. It's not just that it's hot, it's that it's humid. That's a whole nother level of discomfort, especially if you're not used to it. I think 2023 or 2022, one of these summers, it was getting up into over 110 degrees. It was like 113 degrees one day. Not a feels like temperature. It was the actual air temperature was 113 degrees before you factored in humidity. And then the feels like temperature was between 120 and 130. It was absolutely miserable by any measurable metric. The humidity and temperatures over 110 degrees, absolute misery. However, lean into it. I leaned into it. One of the ways you lean into it, obviously, is to drink plenty of water, of course. Stay hydrated, big time, stay hydrated. When it gets that hot outside, any normal summer, and a normal summer day here in Houston, Texas, is mid to upper 90s. That's normal. Maybe you're listening to Fahrenheit, obviously. For those listening around the world, it is, what is it, around 40 Celsius? Don't quote me directly on that, but it gets absolutely boiling. But normal temperatures in Houston, Texas is like 95 degrees Fahrenheit and 90% humidity during the day. During the nighttime, humidity goes up to 100%. So during the night in Houston, you'll dip down in the summertime to the upper 70s Fahrenheit. But to me, it feels more miserable than during the day because it doesn't seem very cool. It's just warm and damp and moist outside. Johnny, why did you have to say moist like that? A lot of people are triggered by the word moist. Anyways, nighttime feels more miserable. But the days, 110 degrees outside during a heat snap, and we had a major drought that summer as well. Fill up the pool. I've got an inflatable pool that I got for my kids, and it's like 10 feet by 12 feet or something like that. It's big enough for an adult to lay in there. The water's nice and cool. You lay out in that SOB all day. It's wonderful. When you adapt your activities to the heat, it is marvelous. One of the ways it's marvelous, dipping into the pool into 2 or 3 feet of water and laying there, and yes, having an adult beverage on hand and plenty of water and the jams flowing through the outdoor speakers or just a Bluetooth speaker. I'll have Stevie Ray Vaughan and Buddy Guy and B.B. King and like classic blues playing, Muddy Waters. Then I'll have like Foo Fighters tossed into the mix, and I'll put Edwin McCain in there, and then some like Jack Johnson and Dave Matthews Band, and then like some OG old like Doggy Style Snoop Dogg from 1994 or 1993, which I have to lower the volume a little bit because it is not clean. Anyways, just getting the jams going, getting the vibes right, as the kids would say, getting the vibes. It's giving chill vibes. So once you do that and you're laying in the water, you're listening to the tunes, you're drinking your water, you're drinking a beer or whatever, it's wonderful. It's 100 degrees outside, literally 100 degrees Fahrenheit before the heat index, and you're just laying in the water. Wonderful. Lean into it. I would have never thought that as a teenager or in my early 20s that I would be the type of person that it would be 100 degrees outside and I'd still be looking for an excuse to go outside and do something. I do it I say watch. I'm not going to take you with me every day, but summertime, wake up. It's already 92 degrees outside by 10 a.m. or whatever. I'm out there with the coffee and the hose, watering the hedges, doing whatever, looking for outdoor activities to do. And I think one big reason for that, and it's probably all part of the same bundle of what makes me, is that my career and my life, and for a ton of other people as well, most people, our lives have taken us inside for work to earn money. Most of us are sitting inside most hours of the week. I'm staring at a computer screen. I'm staring at a computer screen right now. I mean, I'll try to turn the camera around to show you. I'm looking at my recording right now. Even recording this podcast obviously is staring at a screen. So I started to look for any excuse to go outside. Even if it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside and 100% humidity, I'm going to go outside in my boxers or in shorts. And depending on what the neighbors can see from various angles, maybe less than that, to go dump out the coffee grinds from the day before and make new coffee, whatever. I look for an excuse because we have such sedentary lifestyles, such locked behind a desk in front of a screen lifestyles. I've started to look for every excuse to go outside, touch grass, feel sun. And that is one of the ways I've gotten into plants. I am going to do something real quick. You're going to see me get up real quick. I'm going to go get some of the plants that I have downstairs. I'll be right back instantly to you. I'm back. So this is going to get my desk a little dirty. I have a couple of things here that I have. It's amazing what you can get on Amazon. Some things that have wet my whistle with plants and horticulture. Also to solve a minor nuisance around the house, we have fruit flies this time of year, especially in the southern United States, springtime, early summer, you have fruit flies. You can actually have fruit flies year round, but mostly in the warmer months and especially in the spring and summer. I said, what's a natural way that I can help maybe reduce the number of fruit flies that, come out of the garbage disposal in the sink? and maybe around the trash can. The best way to do that, obviously, is to keep things clean. Why am I so winded? I just sprinted up and down the stairs to get these plants, and my 40-year-old butt is not up to the task. Anyways, to take care of the fruit flies nuisance, I have here y'all know what it is, a Venus flytrap. I can't see if is it focusing on it? Hopefully it's focusing on the Venus flytrap. They're closed, at least most of them right now. I think all of them. Yeah, most of them are closed right now because as I was getting these out of the shipping box that it came in, I accidentally grazed. Oh no! I knocked over my other plant. Hopefully it's okay. But I grazed the mouth, I guess, of this Venus flytrap, and they shut. I mean, I knocked out some of the dirt. I just gotta vacuum it. But the other plant I got, the one I got first, is this pitcher plant. I think it was also called like monkey mugs or something like that. And you can see the pictures, hopefully in the video, if you're watching YouTube, kind of turned up like that. That's where the flies will go into the top of it for some sweet nectar and then just get stuck inside the glue, the natural glue that's inside the pitcher plant, and then dissolve. These are obviously carnivorous plants. So let me hold them together in frame. I seriously can't see on the small screen of the Osmo Pocket 3 what it's focusing on. It looks like it's okay. Looks like it's all right. So if you're watching YouTube, you can certainly see the pitcher plant and the Venus flytrap that I have holding up here. And this experiment, these things might die. I haven't had a Venus flytrap since probably in the 90s. I was a kid, as just kind of an experiment, I guess. I've certainly never had pitcher plants. I think you're supposed to keep both of them hydrated like 24/7. The soil needs to stay moist 24/7. There's a little bit more care that needs to occur with a carnivorous plant. I realized though that I didn't have these things set up optimally, and by that I mean another way to kind of keep fruit flies away and other mosquitoes and such are plants like mint and lavender and basil, any kind of plant that gives off, pungent odors. Pungent, not necessarily bad odors. Lavender doesn't smell bad. Mint certainly doesn't smell bad, but to small little flying bugs, they do. So you'll see a lot of patios, especially around Houston in the South, kind of lined with lavender and mint, and it keeps the bugs away. You got to be careful what's poisonous or not to animals, of course, and what's invasive or not. But that is one way to keep it away. So keep the bugs away, those pungent plants. And so I have a little planter in my windowsill in the kitchen. It's about 1 foot long or 18 inches long or whatever. And I think the air conditioning's coming on, so forgive me if you have a little background noise here, if you can even tell. But I had the Venus flytraps and the pitcher plant on both ends of this little 12-inch planter. And in the planter, I had planted some lavender seeds. And it occurred to me, these pitcher plants and Venus flytraps are not going to eat any bugs if the lavender is keeping the bugs away from the pitcher plant and Venus flytrap. So all plants, the lavender has not sprouted yet. So I have some time to shift things around, move things around if I need to. After the lavender certainly sprouts, I'll take care of that. I'll put the fly traps and pitcher plants somewhere else and I'll let lavender away. And maybe I can kind of use the lavender like on the perimeter of the kitchen or some sort of way to like corral the flies to nudge the flies towards the Venus flytrap and the pitcher plants. We'll see. Either way, I don't anticipate these pitcher plants or the Venus flytrap, eating a ton of bugs to make a reasonable difference. The reason I got them is I was just fascinated by them. I started getting bit by the plant bug, and Venus flytraps and pitcher plants are really cool. So it's just another tinker. It's literally just another tinker for me. I'm a very tinker person. I like to see how things work, test things, tweak things. And Venus flytraps and carnivorous plants are a good way to tinker with the potential added benefit of actually being a tinker that gets results in the real world. Maybe this tinker can actually help keep the fruit fly fruit flies down in our house. So we'll see how it all works out. That's all I really wanted to get at you. I recorded an episode like over a month ago, about how happy I am that the Pebble came back. Did I release that? I don't think I put it on YouTube. Did I only put it on YouTube and then I didn't put the audio out on for the audio version of the podcast? I don't think I uploaded that episode everywhere. But that episode I was talking about how happy I am that Pebble came back. I don't have a Pebble. Do I? Oh, I do have a Pebble hanging on the wall back here. Not the new Pebbles, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is, here's my old, I think, Pebble Time Steel. I've had this for, I don't know, 2015, 2014, whenever it came out. Ew. I hate this coating that they put on rubber. I don't know if they still put on rubber products. It gets all sticky and gross. I hate that. I'm just getting distracted now. Gross. That should be illegal. Anyways, Pebble is back. The creator of Pebble, I won't go into it too deeply because I believe I've uploaded an episode about this somewheres most recently. But yeah, Pebble's back. I'm super happy. One of the questions I had, which was answered, is will your old Pebbles work with the new app? The new app, as of recording, has not been released yet. But the answer is yes. If you're over firmware version 3 point whatever on your old Pebble, when the new app comes out on Android specifically, we'll get to Apple in a minute. But yeah, when the new app comes out, your old Pebbles will be 100% compatible with the new Pebble app and the new Pebble OS. Pebble OS is now open source. Google has released Pebble OS completely open source, completely customizable by the end user. So your old Pebble from darn near 10 years ago, from 10 years ago at this point, will have new life now. I love it when these kind of these things happen in tech from time to time. That Pebble has been sitting in my collection unused for years. And you have heard me on this podcast and back when it was the radio show tell you so many times how bummed I am that the perfect smartwatch was no more. Pebble, in my opinion, with its e-ink display, e-paper display, and always on, like, it was a perfect smartwatch. The battery life, it was perfect, the absolute perfect smartwatch, but we can't have nice things apparently. So Fitbit bought Pebble, and then Google bought Fitbit or something, and just Pebble OS went nowhere for a long time. Rebel took up the slack to run most of the old Pebble servers. There's like a handful of people keeping that alive. You paid like $3 a month to have your Pebble watch still be somewhat functional. But now Pebble's back, and there's 2 new watches being launched, the Core 2 Duo and the, gosh, honestly, I apologize for being lazy. I already released the podcast saying this. 2 new models, one more expensive than the other, slightly more expensive than the other. And they're coming out, should be shipping in May, but over the summer for sure. I already pre-ordered the Core 2 Duo, which is the base model of the new watches. So that should be coming this month, hopefully, maybe by June, hopefully earlier. But the new app's coming out. So if you still have your old Pebble, if it's a more modern Pebble, and just like I said, if the firmware is over 3 point whatever, you could look it up. Just Google search like Pebble is back or whatever. Your old Pebble will work with the new app. So that is such a beautiful thing. And the other beautiful thing, like I mentioned in the last episode that you may or may not have heard, is that the founder of Pebble, he didn't start originally Pebble started as a Kickstarter, way like 2011, 2012 back then. But now, the founder of Pebble, he's made his money, he's made his nut, so it's not a Kickstarter thing. You don't have to try to fund this new project. He has millions of dollars, so he's poured his own money into bringing back these 2 new models of Pebble and bringing the app back, bringing the Pebble back, because the community, he said for the last decade, the Pebble community has hounded him. Please bring Pebble back. What can you do? Help us. Da, 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 da. So he listened and he put up his own money. I love it when CEOs are decent like that. Nintendo, love or hate Nintendo, and I think absolutely everybody literally loves and hates Nintendo. But for what it's worth, the CEO of Nintendo, if they're having a down year, if their sales aren't great, like for the Wii U or whatever back in the day, back in the day. It was that long ago, wasn't it? So if they're having bad sales, if a product launches that doesn't do great, the CEO of Nintendo will enforce his own pay cut so that they don't have to lay anybody off. And it's a whole different Japanese mindset over there. Whereas in the United States, 99 out of 100 CEOs will make sure that they get paid first. And even if they have a down quarter, they're gonna keep their personal money right by just firing people. In Japan, it's slightly different, at least with Nintendo, in that the CEO will take a pay cut from himself to support the company, which is even more virtuous once you understand that Nintendo specifically, the last time I read about this, it was Nintendo has enough money in savings to operate for 20 years without having a successful product. Every single product that Nintendo launches for the next 20 years can fail. They have enough money saved to get them through decades of failure, which is amazing. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know how many American companies operate that way. Even if, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on the nonsense happening in the United States right now, the turmoil. But yeah, CEOs would not, literally 99 out of 100 of them would not take the virtuous route if their company was suffering. They will simply lay off workers. And then the thing is, they'll wonder why productivity is low. They'll fire so many people and then they'll wonder, why is productivity so low? Because you suck at running a company. Because y'all suck at running a company. That's why productivity is low. Your workers aren't happy. You fired half of your workers and then you scratch your heads and then you hire a whole bunch of consultants to reevaluate, and the consultants say, oh, you can trim some fat over here. This person can work 2 jobs if you did it. Obviously, it doesn't work. Obviously, it doesn't work. Just make the product better. Have better sales some sort of way. Treat people better. If you want your company to succeed, it's not here nor there. Not here nor there. The CEOs and higher-ups need their bonuses. They need their $20 million bonuses every year. And if that means laying off 2,000 people, 2,000 people gone. Screw them. I'm going to make my nut. And everybody on the board is going to make their nut, even if it means firing a bunch of people. I remember, I won't say the name of the company that I worked for, but y'all can instantly figure it out. I don't know if they're currently still struggling, but they were, billions in debt. Billions in debt. And when I started working there, and right during the recession, they were laying off half a dozen people like every week. Every single week I would come in there. So-and-so's gone. So-and-so's gone. So-and-so's laid off. Everyone's laid off. And then we would get the report at the end of the year. All the employees would get the health of the company report. And would say, we had profitable quarters here, here, and here. Look, we're back in the black. I was like, no, you're not. The only reason why those numbers look good is because you eliminated 2,000 salaries. You're still in debt. You're still in debt by billions. This is fake. This is 100% for the investors. I am absolutely not an investor in this company that I used to work for. But billions in debt. And then they had the firing hundreds of people, and then they had the audacity to report, look how well we're doing. Look how great we did last quarter. You gave yourself a $10 million bonus and you laid off 500 people last quarter. Do you think we're that stupid? And really they know, maybe they do think we're that stupid. Maybe they don't. Whatever. I'll get off that subject because I know I'm probably getting a lot of people fired up. It has nothing to do with the episode in this that I'm recording right now. It was about plants. I just want to let y'all know that I recently got slightly geeky about botany and horticulture, which is just a fun word to say. Horticulture. So that's it. What else? Oh, just I guess kind of briefly. Windows on ARM, Snapdragon, what is it? Extreme X Elite and X Pro, whatever. the response to Apple going with native ARM silicon, which I said obviously, and I'm not the only one. It's not like I'm a super smart guy or anything, but when Apple M1 came out in 2020, I said, watch next few years. Apple, love or hate Apple, they have just thrown a boulder into the pond. This isn't a pebble in the pond. They just nuked the pond here. And the rest of the industry is going to follow suit with transitioning to operating systems developed natively for the ARM processing architecture. Lo and behold, I got it right here in front of me. I'll just show you. It's my Samsung Galaxy book. It was like the cheapest ARM-based Windows PC that I could get. I got it Black Friday last year on Amazon. Really as an experiment. I didn't get this is the X Plus processor, not the X Elite processor, because I just wanted to experience the updates and the growing pain, not necessarily growing pains, but when you get in at the entry level on kind of new tech like this, like Windows on ARM. Windows on ARM has been around for over 10 years. It has been really sucky, but now it's actually kind of good and it's getting better. That's my point. It's fun to be on this getting better trajectories. Every time I turn on this thing, I only turn it on like once a week or once every couple of months. It has to do all these monster updates, monster BIOS updates, monster firmware updates, and it gets better and better. The last time I played this a few months ago, before recent updates, I was playing BeamNG, 1080p, whatever settings, and I was getting like maximum 45 frames per second. I let it update for like 2 hours yesterday, the actual PC, and now I'm getting up to like 120 frames per second in certain scenarios on BeamNG. I'm getting like a solid 60 frames per second with the same settings. I haven't not touched the settings in BeamNG, but the updates and optimizations, it's fun to see them play out in real time. It's fun to see them work. Audio drivers are still a huge issue. It's the only reason why I don't use this laptop more often is because it is not compatible with my audio interface, which has like 20 inputs and 20 outputs. It's just not. The audio driver for Windows on ARM currently is very basic. You can plug in a USB microphone, like a single USB microphone. I'm surprised I don't have one within arm's reach right now, and that works just fine. But your multi-input, multi-output audio interfaces is not a great time, at least for mine. And granted, my interface that I use, the one you're listening to right now, the Tascam Seasonic 20x20 whatever, is no longer supported even by Tascam. So I cannot speak for how well like modern Focusrite interfaces work. And I have read promises that Qualcomm and Intel are working together, and Microsoft or whatever is working together to make the drivers better for audio production for these more intensive audio interfaces. It's not there yet. I keep updating and hoping. Also, DaVinci Resolve works, but it's not, I wouldn't call it quite usable yet, not even for 1080p content. And again, I'm on the Snapdragon X Plus chip, not the X Elite, but it's probably not much better on the X Elite. It's just, there's a lot of incompatibility. There's a lot of chugging. There's a lot of, and I see that DaVinci is releasing builds of DaVinci Resolve specifically for Windows on ARM, and it's improving, but it's not there yet. And the thing is, what's really kind of a bummer, but also exciting to know, is that it can be good. And it will be good as long as they keep coming out with these updates. I think it's too early to dismiss Windows on ARM catching up with Mac in a real way. I don't know if it's gonna. Apple's off to a huge head start with their in-house ARM silicon. But every update that I get to this Samsung Galaxy Book 15 or whatever it is, it gets better and better and better with every update. I'm still waiting for the update that makes the audio work flawlessly with my interface. But it's just fun to be on the ground floor for that and see things get better and better. Gaming has gotten way better. There's another game that I play as kind of a test for lower end hardware. It's oh gosh, why am I blanking out? Band of Brothers, Hell's Highway. Is that what it is? Let me open it. My Steam here. I bet you Steam is going to have to do an update. Yep. Updating Steam. Let me see. what the game is called, just to double verify. But it's a lower end game. It came out like in 2007 on Xbox, and it's been out on PC since like 2007 or 2009. I was getting like 40 frames per second at the video settings, at maximum video settings, like 1080p, everything set to the highest it could go. It's a very basic game, so there's not a whole lot to set up to high. But the maximum I could get out of it was 40 frames per second. And then as soon as I tried to pull the trigger to fire in the game would crash and I couldn't play it anymore. The game is banned. Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. If anyone has played that game has been out for a very long time, and it is still one of the best, in my opinion, World War II games ever. I stopped even. I don't care about Call of Duty at all. Call of Duty strictly became a money grab, and it's just, yeah, it looks great, but it's incomparable. Brothers in Arms is you're telling your teams where to go. Chad, set up over there. Put the bazooka over here. I need supporting fire over here. Like, it's really cool like that. The ragdoll physics are still awesome. It's like that perfect mix of gore, I guess. That's not overdone. But the ragdoll, and if you throw a grenade into behind the sandbags into a group of I'll just say soldiers from Germany in the 1940s. Grenades are not kind to their human spongy flesh. And it does a little slow down cam, boom, and you'll see like, a leg go hither and thither. Anyways, it's a really fun game, but it's a good way to test kind of lower end hardware. And now it plays like a dream. It plays like an absolute dream. After the updates for Windows on ARM, it plays like an absolute buttery dream. It's awesome. Flight Simulator simply does not launch. There's only 16 gigabytes of RAM in this ARM-based PC. There's 16 gigabytes of RAM in other PCs that I have, and you'll get a warning with Flight Simulator 2020. Your system doesn't have the specs, and thus your experience may differ or whatever, and you just click past it. So it opens on other Intel-based PCs with only 16 gigs of RAM. But this Snapdragon PC, this ARM PC with 16 gigabytes of RAM, it doesn't launch there. So I don't think it's a RAM issue. I think it's simply just, I think there's issues with DirectX 12 conversion, DirectX 11 conversion on ARM-based PCs. All things that are going to get worked on. And who knows, I might fire up this computer tomorrow, do an update, launch Flight Simulator, and be able to have a great experience at like 20 frames a second, 720p, which... this is the last thing I'll say to end the show, because I've been talking a while. I haven't recorded a podcast in a while, so forgive me for going on a little bit. As far as flight simulators, intense flight simulators like Flight Simulator 2020, I've not got 2024 yet. Is it even out yet? I don't know. I don't frankly care. Not too much, because Flight Simulator 2020 is so good. Frame rate doesn't matter that much to me on Flight Simulator. I would rather dial up the visuals. And even if I wasn't dialing up the visuals, I would rather take a lower frame rate. Isn't the end all be all. My target is not 60 frames a second in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Honestly, I run it most of the time on my RTX 3090 with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. The 3090 is, I know 5090 is out now. 3090 is no slouch. 3090 will absolutely crush Flight Simulator 2020 at 60 frames per second and higher. Ultra settings, maybe not ultra for everything, but you can do ultra settings, 4K, DirectX 12, HDR, all that stuff, and get 60 frames per second out of RTX 3090 easily. I still usually cap it at 20 frames per second. Why? Why, Johnny? Why do you do that? Well, because most of the time I'm playing the game, I'm 35,000 feet in the air. And there's no sense of speed when you were that high up in a flight simulator. So why tax it? Why would I need it to be at 60 frames a second, have my machine absolutely screaming, sucking back, the 3090 sucking back 400 watts of power for no reason? It's when you're up that high, there's really no visual difference between 20 frames a second and 60 frames per second. Yes, when you take off on the ground and you're rolling past the ground and the buildings are going by as you're taking off and the grass is growing by, yeah, it looks cinematic at 20 frames per second. But once you're up in the air, once you're at altitude, there's no reason, there's no desire for me to be at 60 frames a second. However, once in a while, I'll be feeling saucy and sassy with Flight Simulator 2020, and I want to take the F-16 or a fighter jet and do some low altitude shenanigans. And in that case, I do raise the frame rate up to 60 frames per second or 120 if I'm playing on my downstairs TV, which can do 1080, 120. And that, when I know I'm going to be low down doing low altitude things in a fighter jet that goes 600 miles per hour on the surface, before the afterburners turn on, I start shattering everybody's window. Yeah, when I'm doing fast moving stuff like that, then you want the highest frame rate possible. But 99.99% of the time that I play Flight Simulator 2020, I am at altitude, autopilot going from VOR to VOR. I don't need 20 frames, or I don't need 60 frames per second. 20 frames a second is just fine. That might shock some people. Why don't you try to go for the fastest frames possible all the time? Unnecessary for that game. An esport, Rocket League, I'm looking for every single frame imaginable. So I'm doing, now Rocket League is an old game. You can crank up the settings and still get at least 60 frames per second on like darn near anything out today. Even a non-gaming PC can run Rocket League at various settings at a smooth, stable 60 frames per second. But for an esport, yeah, you want all the frames. That's why you see high refresh rate monitors and input lag times and all that stuff matters, because those are very fast-paced, twitchy games. Flight Simulator is not. That's it. I'm getting over kind of a congestion thing here. Is there anything else I can tell you? Because God knows when the next time I'm going to record a podcast. You want to see my mug real quick on the way out? My wife and kids got me that. Best farter ever. I am such a proud dad. My youngest is going to turn 1 in a few days. As of recording this, next time I do an episode, my youngest will be 1 year old. And oh, he's just such a sweet cutie pie. I love my kids. And that's one reason why I haven't recorded more podcasts, because quite frankly, when I do have a minute, I'm just loving on my kids. And I will never, ever apologize for putting my family first. Ever. If I don't think there's too many listeners like that, like this to my show. I know that I have listeners like that. Listeners are fathers. I have a lot of listeners that are fathers. I've joked about changing the name of the show to like Geek Father Therapy, something like that, because a lot of my listeners are dads. And half the time I'm talking about my dad experience. But a lot of dads will agree with me. They're listening right now. My family will always come first. I will put my family ahead of my job. I'll put my family ahead of my health. I will throw myself in front of a bus for my family. This podcast is way in the back of priorities compared to my family. So what I'm saying is, and I don't think there's a lot of people listening to this, my podcast, that are like this, but like if for some reason you want more episodes than I can put out because I'm putting my family first, if putting my family first beyond regular podcast episodes is bothersome, then adios. I don't, goodbye. It's totally fine with me. I don't make any money from this podcast. So every time I release an episode, it's going to be from the heart. It's just going to be what I'm thinking. It's just going to be true. I don't kowtow to anyone. I don't have any sponsors. I don't care. And even if a sponsor came to me for Geek Therapy Radio and said, we will give you $1 million a year to put out 5 episodes a week. You can still have your weekends, but we need you on call for 24/7 from Monday to Friday. I would tell them to get bent. Absolutely not. It is not worth it to me at all. That's the thing. About money and time and family and priorities. I am so happy with my current position in life. And I know that life has these ups and downs. Some of y'all listeners have reached out to me that you've lost your job recently and it's, things are tough. I have friends and family that lose jobs and it's a tough time, but I'm so happy with my current situation, not because not just because the work that I do is fulfilling. For those of you who don't know, I work for the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I'm the YouTube and podcast manager. So I make a lot of podcasts, more regular podcasts for Houston Museum of Natural Science. If you want to hear me on a more regular basis, subscribe to the HMNS Beyond Bones podcast. That's where you can hear me at least once a month. But this job, as busy as it is, and as much as it keeps me away from doing extracurricular podcasts like Geek Therapy Radio, it allows for the family first. This hybrid kind of work schedule allows me to be there for I have been there every second. I don't want to be vulgar about this, but I have been there for every second since both of my children's inception. Basic or conception. For every moment, I have watched my wife's belly host my little goblin in there. I've watched my two little goblins be born every step of the way, and I didn't have to. When when Riker was born, my first son, I was still working at the radio station, and I remember it being like so stressful to ask for time off when my wife went into labor, and I was letting my bosses know, hey, my wife is pregnant. She's going to go into labor, any second now. I may have to call you kind of last minute to say my wife's in labor and I got to go, somebody to fill in. And that was stressful because there just weren't a lot of people to fill in that gap. They did, and I'm very thankful for that. But just that's stress. You should not have to live your life where you have to feel stressed out, extra stress with your career because your wife's going into labor. It's the saddest thing in the world. One of the saddest things I can think of are like Major League Baseball players and pro athletes and high-level executives and things like that at absolute best, can come to the hospital for the last few moments of their wife's labor, see their child be born, cut the umbilical cord, and then they have to go right back to the airport. They have to go right back to their job. That seems awful to me. And I will never, ever I will never let anyone employ me in such a way. Matter of fact, if I ever got scooped from the museum or interviewed anywhere else, I'd say, here's my non-negotiables. My family comes first. I don't care how much money you're offering. You can offer me triple or quadruple whatever I'm making at the museum. But if I have to be with my family first. That is the first priority always. I don't care about the extra money. I don't care about any of the access of cars and houses and things like that. My family is going to be first. I will work for less money to keep my family first. That's the balance that we are currently in. My wife works, I work. And we are able to be around our kids and nurture them and watch them grow every step of the way. It's like that sunflower seed. They didn't get chopped by my landlord, but I can plant a seed. You can equate it to a plant. That's probably a great way to wrap up the podcast, is equating my life and raising my kids to a plant. I planted the seed, and then I'm able to watch that sprout grow, and I'm able to nurture it, give it nutrients, water it, give it the milk, like everything. I can watch that seed grow and blossom and get strong every step of the way. When I plant a lavender seed, I was there for the whole thing. I can watch it for every process, every step of the process. I can watch it from the ground floor myself. That's where I'm at in life. And that's what I don't take for granted right now, because I hate to even think about it, but it's, and I don't mean any sort of tragedy, but like, if I got laid off and then I had to do whatever I had to do to keep the lights on around here, which means I wouldn't be able to be around my kids as much, how devastating. Professional baseball player can't be around their kids all the time. That I couldn't play baseball. Like I couldn't, that's kind of the cruel irony of it, is you follow this life passion. Your first love of your life is baseball in this reference. And then if you get married and have kids, I don't care who you are, you realize that your kids become your passion. They become that. They become this part of your life, if you're a good father, that you cannot be away from. You physically, emotionally, intellectually cannot be away from your kids ever. So if you're a pro baseball player and you love baseball and you've fulfilled your dream and now you're a Major League Baseball player, but you can't be there for your kids. The inner turmoil of that would be unbearable. And I don't think that I would be able to handle that psychological part of being a pro athlete. I think I could do all the hard stuff and work out and all, whatever. That would pale in comparison to the pain of not being able to be around my sons and my wife all the time. So that's where my priorities are at. Long podcast. I even, in my DaVinci Resolve here where I'm recording into, I moved the outro music way far away down the timeline. It's like, I'm never going to reach the outro music. By the time I see the outro music, it's going to be, have gone way too long. I've gone way too long. You want to see? I'll turn it around here real quick. If you can see that, I can't really see what I'm looking at, but there's the outro right there. There's where I'm recording. It's coming up quick. So I think we'll end it there. Thank you so much for listening to Geek Therapy Radio. Let's see if I can remember my voiceover outro. You are worthy of love. It's been a minute since I've done it. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of giving love. You are worthy of receiving love. And that's such a huge thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that are okay with giving love, telling people, I love you, but the inner demons don't allow the love to be reciprocated. That when you tell someone, I love you, and then they say, I love you too, the little demon in our ears sometimes say, well, you're not worthy of that love. You're not worthy of being loved. You suck. You're terrible. You've made these mistakes. You're not good at this. You're not good at that. When someone says they love you, they're lying to you. They're tricking you. They're deceiving you. You're not worthy of the love. And even if they did love you, it's just a lie. Maybe they don't even love you. A lot of us struggle with that. A lot of us don't struggle with saying, I love you and feeling love for somebody else. But a lot of us struggle with receiving the love and believing the other person when they say, I love you. The stupid little demon in your head saying, you are not worthy of that love. Toss that sentiment out of your head, out of your heart. You're not worthy of it. That's the vibe I get when people are like too lovey on the outro. On the outside, they say love you like kind of too much. It's like, hey man, do you accept that I love you too? Is that cool? Does that really sink in? Do you know and believe that I love you? That's something a lot of us struggle with. So you are worthy of love. You are worthy of giving love. Yeah. You are worthy of receiving love. Possibly more importantly, you are worthy of receiving love. And part of that is understanding that you are worthy of your own self-respect. Holy Lord, that is an even bigger issue than the love issue. You are worthy of your own self-respect. That's what Geek Therapy Radio has always been about. I always encourage people to find their geek thing, find their hobby, find something that they can derive joy from or even get good at, so that hopefully that endeavor will help you understand that you are worthy of your own self-respect. Because if you respect yourself, then you will allow people to love you. You will understand and accept someone's love towards you. That's what the outro means. That's why I say it every single episode, and why I always say, if you don't remember anything else I ever say in these episodes, because they might be stupid, they might be smart, they might be stupid, it doesn't matter. The only thing I want you to burn into your brain, burn into the back of your eyelids, is that you're worthy of love, you're worthy of giving love, you're worthy of receiving love, and you are worthy of your own self-respect. You are worthy of your own self-respect. I know you've made mistakes, probably awful mistakes that are only between you and God, but you are worthy of your own self-respect. You can still be a good person. You can still turn whatever around that you're dealing with or what's bringing you down. Talk to a therapist. I'm not even sponsored. Of all shows, I should be sponsored by a therapy app. But talk to somebody if you need to. You're not your mistakes. You're only your mistakes if you don't learn from the mistakes, if you don't move on from the mistakes, if you don't become a better person because of the mistakes. A race car driver doesn't ever get good only driving down straightaways. You need the curves, you need the corners, you need the bumps, you need to spin out once in a while. That's the only way to know how to how to avoid spinning out in the next race. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of your own self-respect. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to these few and far between Geek Therapy Radios. I'll catch you next time. Take care.